All right. Hi, folks. Hi, war gamers. Hi, people who are taking the time to watch this channel. Well, I want to say it's pretty cool to be able to create a channel that people actually watch. And, I'm still kind of exploring just the process of putting myself out there, regardless of the quality of the content itself. The fact that I am passionate about what it is that I do and I can express that and share that in a environment that people actually somehow gain some sort of either I want to say this is my sales pitch, but gain some sort of value in the process. To me is really cool. So I'm going to continue to make these videos, um, and I can talk more about myself and my whole process. But it's been a good minute. That's one way to put it. But it's been a few weeks since I actually uploaded this video, or uploaded the next video in this game. This is the second time in the channel that we play Eurofront from beginning to end. We're playing a single player solo campaign, basically. So you're playing as two sides. And as you're playing as all the factions, I find that the pacing in the game definitely slows down because there's more to cover. But I think if there's any takeaway I have right now is that the best thing, the wisest thing I can do with this channel and the wisest thing I can do with these videos is finish the actual game. The last game, I couldn't get myself to finish for whatever reason. I think a lot of it has to do with the turning of changing the front, changing the initiative, and basically describing a situation, or rather a scenario, where the Allies actually gain the strategic initiative and potentially win the war against Nazi Germany. To me, it's just like almost impossible to fathom because for whatever reason, being like the historian I am, I've always liked to explore the underdog. And I've really asked myself that big question of why did Nazi Germany and Japanese Empire both fail to conquer the world? And like, why are we living in, a post-Cold War Nazi occupation scenario that could have been a very real possibility? And then speaking to you as a honest historian, which is what we're doing. This is history. I don't know how valuable history really is, but I think history does carry this powerful essence about it. So anytime I can talk about what I know in history, it's pretty cool. But my understanding is that my conclusion, better yet, for why Nazi Germany and the Japanese Empire both lost the war was not necessarily because the Allies were superior in organization, manpower, governments running their systems. It wasn't necessarily that they were better, but it was because I think that both the Japanese Empire and Nazi Germany culturally, at the cultural level, the basic cultural level, somehow knew that they were sabotaging their own success by siding with these paramilitary groups that basically ran the country. It's a story of a country that allows its paramilitary to take over and basically do what it thinks is in its best interest. And the deep irony is that I think both of them somehow sabotaged themselves because of the ideologies that they believed. And you could argue that it was a lot of it had to do with ideology that at least played a significant role in the demise or downfall of these great, you could call them great empires, basically modern empires, which is very interesting. But literally, it's called the Imperial Japanese Empire, the first of its kind in history, where Japan is totally united, at least as far as I know, and they try to conquer their neighboring powers, including China. And then you have what happened with Germany, where National Socialism became the new standard for the entire system, which is not purely capitalist. It's not purely communist. It's a different system, independent of the other two, to some degree. Fundamentally, they took a lot of pride in being independent. Autarky is what Adolf Hitler wanted. And it failed. Economically, it led to the demise. The German army was not able to fully mechanize or modernize their military, given the strategic constraints. And they also were not able to fix their economy or fix their societal system enough to beat the Allies. So right now, this is a really good introduction to what we're doing right now, which is we're entering 1943. And if we were going to break up this game in the Soviet system, which I don't know may or may not be correct, but they break up the war into three patriotic conflicts. The first one was when the Nazis invaded and almost destroyed the Soviet Union in Barbarossa, the one kind of Hail Mary, all chips are in operation at a strategic level needed to defeat Russia, the largest nation in the world by landmass. That's the first scenario. The second scenario is when the Soviets are kind of fighting tooth and nail to defend Russia, and they succeed in achieving a defense. And then the third one is when they actually gain the strategic initiative. I think right now we're in the second phase. The Soviet Union is not defeated, and now we're going to dive into the game. And this is why the game is hard. I've been attacking with Germany. I've been pounding Moscow with large German panzer armies, and obviously supported by a lot of infantry. It's actually predominantly infantry, but we also have air support as well. The air support has been very powerful. It's not triple fire. If we had triple fire air power, I think we would have broken through. It's only double fire at the present moment, meaning that the Soviets are gaining some sort of air advantage gradually, or at least nulling the advantages that the Axis had to begin with. But they're still at single fire. Or actually, no, the Soviets are now at double fire as well. So the Soviet air power is changing, which is going to change the nature of the fighting and change the Soviets' offensive capability. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that German casualties have been high and they haven't broken through. We've been attacking Tula. We've been attacking the Soviet Moscow military district since like summer 42. So it's been almost a full year. I think it's been maybe like 8-9 months of German attack on Moscow. The Battle of Moscow has begun officially, and it's been going on since I think July of 1942, not June but July. So right at the peak of the German summer, of the Eastern Front summer, and the only area that they've actually succeeded objectively is taking Tula, which was a great success because Tula is an urban center, not as big as Stalingrad, but a notable urban center, second to Moscow, and then to the north is Kalinin. And it's like, if Germany wants to take Moscow, it's possible that we may need to attack and encircle the entire district. I don't know. But the Germans have been concentrating along these three other sectors, Mozhaisk, Kaluga, Ryazk. I would love to know the total amount of German casualties just in these sectors alone. But the Soviets have been defending tooth and nail, and it's been a slugfest. It's kind of been somewhat like a Stalingrad in these other sectors, but larger and more strategic, and they're not fighting for an urban city. So the combat, if you can imagine it, is not urban combat. It's more like some new type of combat that I guess is very similar to World War I combat, in that you've got an intricate trench system, but I think it's also a system of like anti-tank and anti-infantry mines. It's a system of geographical obstacles to block armored movement, basically giant ditches along the sector. You also have anti-tank networks and just these defensive networks that are comprised of primarily anti-tank guns, infantry, machine guns, barbed wire, any kind of barriers to stop armor. And then also supported by like heavy artillery of some kind and even possibly air support. So the Soviets have been the ones that have been defending primarily, and it shows. Their defensive network is working to hold off the German onslaught, and the Germans have sustained really bad losses. We've talked about this before, but the German losses I think are now in the millions. Like for example, March, the Germans sustained 14 steps just in the last month alone. January was actually very low. December was relatively low. The winter was pretty uneventful, given how intense the summer was. Both sides took the time to kind of recuperate, and the Soviets chose not to launch a strategic offensive in the winter of 42. They're going to wait, which is a very interesting decision. But if you go back to October, I mean, German losses were nearly 20, September 15, And for some reason, June of 1942 was 28, which was a totally different sector, totally different style of fighting because you're fighting in open territory. There's breakthroughs, there's encirclements. Here it's similar, but it's done at a much more tactical level. It's much more dense, the fighting, it seems, and neither army seems to be superior against the other. But the Germans have been sustaining slightly higher losses. They've been losing more divisions relative to, say, Soviet Corps. But like even the last month, I kind of want to calculate. That's something that we can do. Is like how many infantry casualties did they sustain in the month of March? It was 300,000 just in March. This is different. I mean, I think the only time in the war historically where we see this rate of casualty, I think, was Stalingrad. There's really, I can't think of really anywhere else in the historical time period where German losses were happening at this rate. I think the Battle of Stalingrad, the Germans, the Axis, because there was a lot of other units involved in Stalingrad in 1942. Right now we're in April, so the Stalingrad phase has effectively ended relative to the actual historical timeline. But right now it's 308,000 casualties for 1 month. And the Battle of Stalingrad was a very long battle. I think it started officially in July 1942. But I don't think the battles for the actual city itself began until like August of 1942. So it was August, September, October, November, December, January, February. You've got seven months for the Battle of Stalingrad. It's the longest battle of World War II. Really, it's the longest land battle in World War II. The longest battle of World War II, I believe, is the Battle of the Atlantic, where there's basically a fight for naval dominance in the Atlantic Ocean. It starts in 1939 and goes on for 6 years nonstop. And it fluctuates in intensity, but the most intense years were after the fall of France, where the Germans gained access to larger naval bases in 41, 42, 43, and so forth. By 44, they were losing against all of the Allied anti-submarine capabilities. But I believe that's the longest battle. But the battle, in terms of manpower, is far less because these vehicles occupy less, require a smaller crew. Anyways, here, but of course, if you talk about like the architecture of the battle, it's an immense battle. It's a vast, complex, super profound battle that definitely is worth studying for sure. I would say it's a very fascinating, it's a very deep part of World War II, and it's one of the most data unique aspects of war, given just everything that was involved. But there's also intelligence that happens on the Eastern Front. I think the Soviets right now are winning the intelligence war, as far as I could tell. I mean, you get a feeling in the game because the Soviets kind of succeeded in their defense, basically. But anyways, in 7 months for Stalingrad, the Axis sustained, I think it's anywhere from at least 600,000 casualties. So you do the math on that, and you're assuming like constant fighting. The Germans were sustaining about 100,000 casualties per month, which is pretty high. But they were able to sustain their offensive relatively consistently. Here it's 308,000 per month, just in the month of March. And I guess if we like include the same like time frame from, say, like, I don't know, the winter, let's say start with December or even November 1942, and then go all the way to January, through the entire winter period, basically. I want to see how many Axis casualties were sustained. Starting in November, it's 3. December is 9. So that's 12, plus another 2 is 14. And then, so 28 by March 43. So I can do the math on that and take an average. 28, it's actually 28 total, divided by, we'll give it 7 months. November, December, January, February, March, April. It's about 7 months. And we take an average, and the casualty rate ends up being 88,000 casualties. So just in the winter period alone, German losses are pretty close to what we had in Stalingrad. And then the summer period was even more intense, I would say. The casualties were notably high. If I go to 42, starting in we'll skip June, starting with the battle itself, July, August, September, October. I count 52 right now. 52 in just the summer period. So, and that's like what? June, July, August. I didn't even include, I don't even think I even included, excuse me, I don't think I even included July, or I meant to say June. Recount, just want to make sure my math is right here. I count 52. It's really high. October was brutal. Super high. 52. And that's like what? 5 months. July, August, September, October. 4 months. So let's see what the average here. The average is 286,000 casualties. In other words, our operation, compared to the Stalingrad operation, it's about 3 times, was 3 times more intense than the historical Stalingrad. And I think that actually makes sense given how many panzer armies have been committed. We've got one panzer army in Moshaizk, another panzer army in Kaluga, 2 panzer armies are right now attacking, and then there's a third one that's kind of covering the flank here, more or less. A third panzer army covering this left flank, or right flank rather. I'm dyslexic apparently. But this right flank is another panzer army. So 3 panzer armies altogether in these operations, compared to what we had historically at Stalingrad, which was half a panzer army. So we have 6 times the panzer concentration than what we have historically. So it's a totally different operation, and I just find it interesting in our playthrough because we didn't see this historically in the war. We saw Stalingrad as the kind of counterpart. But I think in this strategy, Germany is still making it a Moscow first strategy as far as destroying the Soviet Union. There's 2 sectors that you need to take to destroy the Soviet Union. You have to take either Moscow or Baku. Those are the 2 main industrial sectors of the Soviet Union in this era of history. Moscow is the capital, it's the regime's headquarters, and Baku is the oil refineries of the entire nation, basically, or the primary oil refineries of the Soviet state, of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Of the Union, it was the largest concentration of oil refineries of the Union, and given the industrial nature of this new Russian state, it is highly dependent on a oil system. And so you take one of those 2, the Soviet Union as a state effectively collapses because it kind of gets split in half. So with that introduction aside, I think I can now actually start the file. We've already started it. And basically try to finish this game. I think that's the main priority. I find it as a very interesting historical moment, and I kind of wish I could get data on this game and study this game later on. And I may have to, given just where I am in my life journey right now. For those who are also in their own life journeys, I would say that this is just a question that I think would be worth my time answering so that I can really assess more accurately what is the Soviet Union, what was the Soviet Union as a nation state, and also what's the Third Reich too. It's both. So anyways, on the Eastern Front, you've got this push on Moscow, and we'll get to that later. But on the Western Front, we have this British landing in Ostend, and we launched the counterattack. It failed. It totally was disastrous. But then we launched a second counteroffensive. The first counteroffensive failed. It was more like a counterattack, and it failed. It was definitely some kind of small scale offensive, and it was disastrous. Somehow, the Allied counterattacks were enough to beat us back to our starting lines. We didn't gain any territory. We basically gained no territory, or we lost all our territory, and we sustained really high casualties. I think it was like another 300,000 casualties. That's actually in the West. The East is 15, but the West is 14. It's another like 300,000 casualties basically, maybe 286,000 casualties. That's the equivalent of, I believe, a German army. So an entire German army gets defeated, Napoleonic style, against the British, and it's just something that you never see in World War II. I can't think of an example of a set piece battle that happens. I think you have better examples in World War One, where you've got these set piece battles in which, there's so much at stake because there isn't this large industrial capacity supporting the war. It's not as big as you would think, but the Axis, and it was also a massive operational blunder that I made. I should have blitzed, and I chose not to blitz. And I attacked too preemptively, basically. It was a massive learning lesson for the German operation, but I thought I could go toe-to-toe with the British with a kind of low-quality army that would be simply enough to keep them at bay, and then use that in conjunction with a more powerful Panzer army to support. But that first army got wiped out. The Panzer army, though, did succeed. But I got to make sure. I think the Allies have the initiative right now. Yeah, the second front is open. And so we'll go ahead and start this. The British side. The British really need to decide if they want to evacuate or not. The British did sustain pretty heavy casualties of their own. And keep in mind that this British Expeditionary Force is vulnerable. Like, I don't see a way that we can keep our units like operational. So it's a very vulnerable position for the British. And I'm looking at British HQs, and I don't see enough HQ right now, which is really no bueno. Oh, we do have this one here. I think we have naval supremacy, right? We do. Oh man, it's in Ostend. No, it's out of range. Oh, okay. I'm thinking of pulling the British out entirely. Because why? I don't want this army to be wiped out in 1943. Because without an army, we need an army to invade Western France. And it's kind of like being economically efficient with our operation. I don't know how much this cost the British, but it's been strategically a very successful way to kind of bog down the West, keep the Western Front busy. But it's like, if we lose all this, we're gonna have to build everything up from scratch all over again, and I really don't want to do that. I really don't think it's a good idea. I'd rather pull these units back out. And also, we did take Tunisia, though, which is really good. So we took North Africa. That's a huge win. And now we got to invade Italy. I think invading Italy is the next big move. And just be methodical here with the British. It's the best way to go. But like, I need more HQs here in North Africa. I do got a lot of HQs though. A lot of infantry, but I need at least 2 infantry armies, or 2 like army groups rather. Or I think I need 2 army groups, one fighting in North Africa, fighting from North Africa rather, and then I need another army group actually able to invade the West, especially like Fortress Europa. So we are making progress, but I need more HQs. And I have this 21st British HQ right now, very good, but I need a second HQ. I do need another army group. These are army groups, I believe. 15th Army Group, and then this is the 21st Army Group over here. So two army groups, very powerful army groups. And it's like, I kind of want to do that. But at the same time, I'm fighting on two fronts in the West, two sectors. I'm fighting in the Mediterranean front and in the Western front. And right now, I feel like given the presence of this German SS Panzer Corps, very powerful division. I don't remember the details of the battle. All I remember is that the British did sustain heavy losses. I mean, look at their losses. They're at their breaking point. And so I'm thinking the best move right now is just to pull out before we face a disaster. But like right now, if the Axis decide to attack us, they're going to face their own disaster. I think we'll give it another turn, because I don't think the Axis have the resources to keep pushing. They need time to build up another offensive. So we'll pass the turn, which is pretty interesting. How far are we in the video? I don't know. I think I've been talking for about an hour now, but that's that. As far as actually getting the game to flow, we'll switch over to the Axis. And I know that the Axis need reinforcements, desperately need reinforcements. And so we do have a like skeletal defense of France. All the areas are contested, all the ports are contested, which is really good. But we don't have enough to actually counterattack this position here. We actually need another German army. And right now I'm trying to build more armies in the east, actually, not in the west. All the armies are committed to Moscow right now. And we don't have any reserves. We do, but they were destroyed. And they're going to take a while to build up again. So it's like I need reinforcements to keep this operation going. And it's like you want to keep attacking now rather than later, because that's going to keep the Axis operational tempo to your advantage. I got to put something in Messina. And I'm trying to actually like also defend the south as well. So I'm doing a lot. I'm going to activate OKW. And it's like we need to secure at least all the ports right now. I got to secure many ports. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got an army in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 rail moves. We're just trying to like secure this position. Like Greece is vulnerable. Everything is vulnerable right now. But those are 2 strategic moves. We gotta like fortify Italy. We need more units. I'm gonna transfer this Panzer Corps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and put in Messina. Then what else? That looks good. We got just enough here in central Italy. I do need another unit in Taranto. Would be ideal. I don't really have a reserve for that at the moment. But like the British could in theory just land in Taranto. Like right now. And it's like I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to actually, so that's 3 strategic moves. I'm going to pull out this unit here. 4 strategic moves. What else? We also got to be careful with a British counteroffensive, right? I need another infantry unit. I need an infantry unit or armored unit or something. I've got this Panzer Corps in Rome, which would be perfect to launch an attack. But I'm afraid that if we leave Rome undefended, it's going to put us in a very vulnerable situation. But I've already did 3 strategic moves, 4. I think this is the last one. Move this Africa Corps. Just get it over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Or actually, we'll move it to Paris. But yeah, we're like aggressively moving, we're moving Rommel into that area. We got to take that position, man. Eastern Front, we have the initiative, but like seriously, some severe casualties on the east. OKH is down, so I'm not going to spend OKH. I do have this Army Group North HQ, and we got to like do a casualty assessment here, because we've just sustained brutal casualties, like really bad casualties. So I don't know what the plan is. I mean, I really don't know what the freaking plan is. Obviously, we want to keep attacking these positions to the best of our ability and break through. I think if we can take Kaluga, I think we have a chance on Kaluga. And just attack, keep attacking. I think that needs to be the game plan. Not the best game plan, but it is something. Yeah. We got this nice fortress, though, right there in, whatchamacallit, Rezhev. Ideally, it's up here. I just realized, but we're not going to push forward. Although we could. For some reason, this area is vacant. It's just not a good position to defend. Leaves your army vulnerable. So it's kind of a stalemate, presumably, there. I can put some markers or something there to kind of fill in the space. Because I don't know, it just doesn't make sense that you're fighting on, like, empty space. There's clearly a strategic contestment going on here. And I don't know how many units to stack it up. Maybe take an average, put 2 and 2, something like that. I have no idea. Or maybe 3, like that. Something like that. Just kind of contest that sector a bit more. And I think this kind of represents the fact that there's just a lot of missing units in the game. It's kind of my sort of take on it. And we kind of have this sort of stalemate here in the south. The Soviets haven't done much at all to advance. So they've got all this empty space here. So the Axis have been pretty comfortable on the Eastern Front, I would say. We haven't taken Crimea, which is a bit of an inconvenience, in my opinion. Definitely an inconvenience. We need another infantry unit in Nikolaev. But for now, I think we're going to just put pressure on Kaluga. Go for it. Even though this HQ is disrupted. Oops. Disrupt HQ. We got air power here. So let's go ahead and do it. I think that's the only area that I actually want to have a battle. The rest is going to be focused on production and just replenishing our casualties. We've sustained brutal effing casualties. I'm actually going to move one Panzer Corps up here, actually. So let's go ahead and do it. Airstrike. Nice, we get the hit. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So April 43, the Axis, Soviets do sustain one loss. Soviets roll, they have good defensive capability. Very good defensive capability. But they do score a hit. And the Germans now roll all single fire. Oh man, oh nice. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of 6s, 4 hits. That's actually really good. We could have blitzed. And we chose not to. But the losses are 3 for the Soviets, 1 for the Axis, which is a really good ratio, favoring the Axis. If we switch to the Soviet side, I want to see the production there. I don't know how much longer I can play this game, by the way. I think I want to finish at least the month of April. But like production, man, is very time consuming. I think right now the plan for the Soviets is to stay alive more than anything. And it's like we need to rotate. I may even blitz if I could. We could blitz. I can put 1 unit in, 1 unit out, and then put 1 more unit in. It's actually pretty good. I think I'm going to blitz with the Soviets. The problem is that the Soviets don't really have a very good operational reserve. Well, actually, we do. We got some stuff. So it's also disrupted. I think actually HQs in Moscow are not disrupted. And this is where we got to look at the rule book. Very important rule, very subtle rule, but it makes a huge difference. Oh man, and this is the part that I have to like look through the rule books again. But I'm like trying to find a rule on mud. And this rule book is so dense. It's a very, very, very dense rule book. Time to go to table of contents. I'm glad though that I have it pretty much fully understood. It took me a while. Production, weather, 12.3. Let's see here. Snow weather, mud weather, okay. It affects combat. Supreme HQs in London, Moscow, Warsaw, or Berlin are not disrupted by weather. The key rule here is supreme. So this Baltic HQ is disrupted by weather. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blitz. Oh, can we blitz? I think we can blitz. They cannot deploy 1 hex upon activation. Cannot deploy 1 hex. Right. They can't deploy, period. Double HQ. What is it? All right. Let's see here. I think we're gonna blitz if I can. I'm not sure. You guys would have to confirm with me if I can blitz or not. But if I can, I'm going to. And do an emergency reinforcement of Kaluga. And this is what the Soviets have been doing pretty well. Like, I got this reserve infantry. Let's move that infantry in there. These units are out of range. got a very strong infantry setup here. Move this infantry up there. And let's look at our reserves. I think I might go ahead and... I guess I'll do that on the next turn. You got a lot of moves to do for sure. It's a very important moment in the Soviet playbook because they're trying to transition from that second phase where they're going toe-to-toe the Axis to actually gaining an initiative. And the only way that's going to work is if they launch an offensive. That's the only way they can defeat the Axis. They have to attack. This idea of defending for the rest of the war and hopefully we can win is simply not going to change the war. You have to actually attack and destroy or defeat or cripple the German army in such a way that they can't attack. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. I'll cancel this move here. And you know what? I guess I am going to go ahead and activate Stavka. Screw it. I'm going to move the shock army forward. Let's see. I got strong infantry here, which is really cool. One, two, three. We gotta be careful with this flank too. This flank is very, very vulnerable. Yeah, we need more armor. We need a whole lot of production. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we got one more. Moscow, Stalingrad is looking really good. But we need more field HQs. And I'm trying to find those HQs, right? I know we got one in Crimea. That's super valuable, invaluable. Probably the most valuable HQ. I'm going to actually move this last one. 6, like that. One, two, three, 4. Yeah, we desperately need more units. That's the bottom line. I think we need more units up here in the north. Yeah, I'm going to move this HQ, or we got this one over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. I think that's good. Trying to just create a balance with the Soviets. But yeah, that's the HQ, the Supreme HQ, and then the next unit I'm going to do. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to pull out one unit here. Fudge. Forgot that. I'm going to pull out this core here and move this guy in. Yeah, my bad. I made a mistake. Forgot to do all the moves there. Oopsie daisies, but I'm gonna let the Soviets do that anyways because it was so important, and I totally forgot. I got totally caught up with strategy. I lost track of my tactics. something to improve upon for sure. We're also defending. Oh my gosh, it's not looking good for the Soviets. We'll move on to the next fortnight. I think the Axis are going to pass. I think we make a pass because we have a lot of production left. And as much as I would love to attack Kaluga, I'd rather wait and focus on just better production. We desperately need more infantry. That's the main problem right now. So yeah, like these low strength, these under strength armored units, no bueno, man. Swap that. Swap those two. We need the area to be stacked up really well with reserve units. But I also need like some reserve infantry for a really like good attack. I think I have enough. And it's like, do we dare attack Kaluga, or we know the Soviets reinforced, or do we just pass? Like, I don't know, these attacks, sustaining the casualties, I feel like it's not good when we don't have the momentum. So I'm not going to attack, but I am going to spend an HQ just to swap out those units. 10 production points. I don't know if it was good or not. The British, I think the British are also going to pass. Oh, you know what? I just realized with the Germans. The British have to decide if they want to retreat or not. The Germans sent a reinforcement. Do we retreat? Do we face the Panzer Corps, or do we retreat? And I think we should retreat. I mean, at this point, let's not like... we worked so hard to achieve a victory. I don't think it's right now worth it to experience a defeat that just totally cripples us and makes our chances of a long-term victory null. I think this has to be kind of our 1942 Dieppe operation equivalent. And it's like, we did what we did. We sieged Ostend for so well. We tested the Germans. We destroyed the entire German army. There's no need for our own army to be destroyed. And I think that's going to be the game plan here. So yeah, this is going to be an invasion marker. And then we're going to do another invasion marker over here. And we're going to blitz. So we're spending 3 production points just on HQs. Or, I mean, I don't know how much this costs. It really comes down to economics. Spending, what, 30 production points? Or 40? Now, supposedly all these units are completely destroyed. Well, how much would that cost the British? I think it's 12 plus 6 plus 6. Yeah, I had to do the calculation manually. It's 80 production points, my gosh, if we leave this unit here and it gets destroyed. That's expensive. It's very expensive. So yeah, it's in our best interest to retreat economically, pull the unit out, and that's what we're going to do. Oh, we're actually going to lose... we're actually losing about 50 production points. We saved 30 production points from this process. Now, there's always the possibility that we can inflict heavy losses on the Axis. I simply think it's not going to happen, not against these SS Panzer divisions and whatnot. I mean, it's anyone's die roll, but statistically, I don't know what the exact statistics are here, but presumably with this triple fire unit, they're both going to sustain equal losses. We can do a quick tactical analysis. The British have 10 double fire, and if you treat as a triple fire as 3 single fire, then the Axis have here 3 single fire, 9 single fire, 6 double fire. Double fire is doubled for single fire. I'm explaining a bunch of stuff here, but that would be the equivalent of 12 single fire plus 9 single fire is 21. It's the equivalent of 21 single fire, probability wise. The British, on the other hand, is about 20 single fire. So the Axis have a slight advantage, according to our calculation, by 1 single fire die roll presently. And they have a reinforcement as well. So I don't think it's worth it to sit here and linger and then fight. So we're going to pull our units out. And we're going to leave a very honorable rear guard. And they're going to be the ones who fight tooth and nail. We're also basically losing the beachhead. We're losing a lot of stuff. We're losing a lot of stuff right now. Yeah, I think we're just going to pull our units back. We're just not going to risk it. We're not going to gamble it. I really don't want our forces to be totally destroyed. So we're going to withdraw. Unfortunately, I got 3 more supreme moves left. That's really nice, actually. 3 supreme moves. Oh, fuck yeah. You know what we're going to do? We're going to start moving these units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to move them into Tunisia. 7, 8, 9, 10. And then this is the last supreme move, like so. There we go. Yeah, we are assembling something here. We might even try to invade Sardinia. The Axis did not reinforce Sardinia at all, which I think was a strategic blunder. But I'm pretty sure if Italy surrenders, it surrenders because Sardinia was part of that. Just really important process. So yeah, if the Allies control either all of Sicily or Sardinia, they have to control all of Sardinia, which is not easy. That would take some time to do. So yeah, I think the Axis have to react to the situation. But yeah, we're gonna pull back. Oh, let's deactivate the HQs. Nice. I think we can only cancel beachheads during production. I have to read up on that as well. No, there's a lot of data in this game for sure. Super data intensive. But like, I want to go to naval operations, sea power, page 39, beachheads, beachhead preparation. I want to know about like beachhead deactivation. They have to be unengaged areas. So unfortunately, we lose the beachhead. It's a total bummer, but we have to abandon all that equipment in British territory or in Axis territory. Abandon that in, yeah, technically it is British territory for now. But we'll switch over to the Axis. And I think what I want to do is just create a super strong fortress everywhere. I don't want Italy surrendering. So I feel like it's in my best interest to move a unit into Olbia. The problem is I don't think I have a unit that can do that. Maybe this no, I'm going to activate OKW rather. We're going to move, I'd rather move an Italian unit from Genoa to Olbia. And just buy us a little bit of time. You don't need to buy a whole bunch of time. You just need a little bit of time. And I think we got ourselves a good setup. We just need another unit in Genoa. And let's see what I have here. I got strong armored units. I think we're gonna attack with OBW. Attack with everything we've got. So that's 2 strategic moves. I need one more. I need one more unit, and I really don't have any. I think I'm gonna have to abandon this port over here. It's just no bueno. We don't have any reserve infantry. It's not good at all. Anyways, that was 2 strategic moves. I could do a third one. Oh no, I can't. Damn. Move this unit here, like that. All right, so we did 1, 2, 3 strategic moves. I got one more left. And I think our airstrike is single fire right now. Western Front is single fire winter 42. Yep. And the Allies gain double fire in summer 43, which is like the next turn. Yeah. Anyways, we got single fire. We've got 2 dice. Let's go ahead and do this battle. Oh my gosh, so the air power alone just clean sweeps them. And that's that. Simple Axis counteroffensive. We overrun the beachhead too. Beachhead is gone. And so if I calculate Allied Axis losses or British losses, let's see here. They lose, I think it's 3, which is bad. Plus they lose the beachhead. I don't know what the beachhead counts as. It's a bunch of equipment. But I had an interesting calculation for like Lend-Lease. I don't know what I did with those notes. They kind of disappeared. But I calculated, I think it's 40,000 tons of supplies for every production point that we lose, which is a lot of tons of supplies. It's 4 ships, the equivalent of 4 ships, 4 transports. And so we lose the equivalent of 4 transports, which is unfortunate. 4 transports worth of equipment. I think it's something like that. Well, actually, that's for 1 production point. You got to multiply that by 20. So it's actually 80 transports. I don't think that can be possibly correct. 80 transports worth of equipment? I mean, these are Liberty ships, so it's whatever Liberty ships can supply. But I did 20 times 4. And the math on that is like how many tanks, how many Shermans could a Liberty ship carry? Because I think it's like some battalion worth. 440 Shermans. That is a lot of Shermans. Oh my gosh. About 1,360. It's. Oh wait, hold on. Liberty. Or 2 Liberty ships, not cruise liners. Yeah, I would say they can only carry maybe about 500 infantry at most, which is a whole company. So that was kind of my calculation. But it says here 440 Shermans, but that's only tanks. I don't think they can carry infantry and tanks both. That might be the calculation there. But like 80,000 times 500. We're not leaving behind any manpower. But according to my calculations, it's 40,000 troops. It's the equivalent of 40,000 troops. Which is not a whole lot. But I think that number does make sense, because a full strength infantry costs 20 production points as well. And you got to do 20 times 20 times 80,000 or something like that. The calculation I'm not 100% sure right now, which is, I'm learning. Thank you, bear with me here. But I'm doing all this on top of my head. I could try to write it down, maybe get myself more pen and paper, or visually show you guys what I'm calculating. But I'd rather just talk about it if I can, orate it. Hopefully I'm still on camera. But basically, an infantry is 80,000 ships. Now I got to do the calculation of 5 times 22,000, and I calculated to be, or 20,000, let's say. I calculated to be about 100,000 troops, 20 production points. That's what it would be for divisions. Suggesting that there's more Liberty ships? I don't know. But maybe like 100,000. I got 40,000 from the amount of Liberty ships that I believe are being used, because they said it's 4 tons of supplies. And I think 1 Liberty ship can carry 50,000 troops. But according to my calculations, the number is more like 1,250. And that's 100,000 troops. And it's similar to another calculation, which is you do 20 times, or excuse me, you do 5 times 20,000 or 22,000 if you want for the British. I think the number can be the same, and the difference is actually 10,000. So if I do 110,000 divided by 88 and divided by 20, something like that, divided by 80, I get 1,375. So apparently a Liberty ship could carry 1,300 men. That's more than a whole company. That might be the size of I don't know. How much troop personnel can a cargo ship carry World War II? They tell you how many. Okay, so the number I did have right was about 500 troops. And then it says amphibious cargo ships specifically designed for troop transport can carry up to 6,000 passengers. So what is an amphibious cargo ship? That's what I want to know. Okay, it looks like a Liberty ship to me. I mean, they look the same to me. They look very similar. The point is, I think the numbers do speak. They seem to be relatively accurate here. So if it's 80,000, or if it's 80, right? It's actually times 10,000. It's 800,000 tons of shipping that are being lost here. But it's not due to U-boats. It's due to abandoned equipment. Now, according to the tank calculation, I'm not sure how many of them were carrying tanks, how many of them were carrying infantry. The numbers vary. But presumably, this would include all the tanks that they have as well. So I'm not sure what the number is. But it might be more than 80 cargo ships, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not sure what the number is, but 440 tanks for one ship by itself. And I don't know how many tanks were, how many tanks were British, how many tanks per British division? That's my question. Okay, so each division was carrying almost an entire cargo ship's worth of tanks. So if I have 80,000, if I have the numbers 80 cargo ships, this is what I calculated. Then it would be times what, like 350 tanks? How many tanks are being abandoned? According to my calculation, it's 28,000 British tanks that are being abandoned here. No, that's not right at all. It would be about 5 divisions. The equivalent of 5 divisions worth. And it's actually more like 1,750 tanks. I think that number might be right in this game. You know, we can like look up the Dieppe raid. How many tanks were in Dieppe raid? 5,000 tanks. Oh my gosh. That number does not seem right. I feel like that's AI bias. 5,000 tanks seems a little bit too high. I think they also include tankettes. I don't think this number is correct. But let's see how many tanks were lost. I don't see the number. Because you have the famous photos of the Churchill tanks. Yeah, they don't say. That's something that I have to do some deep research on. This number, 5,000. Yeah. No, we don't know. But if it's about 5 divisions, it's about 1,700, 375 tanks that would have been left behind. The equivalent of 1,375 tanks worth of equipment, possibly artillery, anti-tank guns. I don't know what the cost is between a tank and an anti-tank gun. It might be 1 to 4, 1 to 10. So it might be thousands of anti-tank guns, possibly even tens of thousands of anti-tank guns. Mortars, just standard artillery. All these different costs. But it was expensive. Is the bottom line there. But it was successful. The Germans succeeded in attacking. I'm going to deactivate OKW. We're not going to spend any more production on the Eastern Front. And then we'll switch over to the Soviets. And so the Soviet turn, I think the Soviets are going to pass. And I think we'll go ahead and do that. Start doing the production for the Soviets, which is actually pretty stable. 65 production points right now. And I'm going to trust that number. I think I've calculated it pretty well. But they basically lost something like 20 or 21, 22, 23 production points in the Eastern Front. So how many production points is that total that they lost? They've gained an additional 18, though. Or no, they've gained an additional 20. So according to what I have, they've lost a lot of production. They've lost 23 production is what I've calculated. And I think that's correct. I think it's 20, including Ukraine and Leningrad. And then the remaining 3 is Rostov, Voronezh, and Tula. So let's go ahead and focus on production. I think HQs are in good order. That's 30 already. Oh, you know what? I meant to do a Soviet operation, actually. I meant to do activate this HQ. Oops. So we're gonna cancel the Soviet production real quick. I was gonna pass on the Soviets, but there's one operation I do want to do, and it's disrupted, but it's also going to be an invasion HQ. And we're simply going to move this cavalry, or excuse me, not cavalry, but amphibious unit, and invade Nikolaev, like that. And we've gained some Soviet territory. And just put some pressure, strategic pressure on the Germans. I'm thinking we could also try to invade, I don't know where else. But I think we want to break out of Crimea and maybe try to retake Odessa. That's what I'm thinking. It should be the next strategic priority right now for the Soviets here in the South. Now we can move on to production. Now we're down to 25 production points, 23 production points. And we just got a lot of ground units to build up. We got to prioritize our build around Moscow. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Uh, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And I had 23. Now I have 21. And yeah, unfortunately, I did not build up more reserves. I decided to focus on HQ builds and make that the priority. But I have 2 left. All right, so that's it. Pretty straightforward Soviet build. Let me switch over to now the Axis production, which is totally different. Oh, did the Soviets gain land lease? Looks like not for... Oh, no, they did. We get a die roll here. Oh, they only gained 1 more. So there's 3 left to build. I think I had a cavalry somewhere. A strong cavalry unit that could be built up. I don't see it. Oh, let's build up this unit here. And build up an armored unit too. Definitely a tricky situation for the Soviets for sure. Switching over to the Axis now. Let's see what production they've got. It's 92 according to what I have calculated, which seems really high. But like presumably they have like 23 from the Eastern Front, maybe 25 from the Eastern Front, plus another 3 from Finland. That's 28. 54 plus 28 is, I think, 82. And then, yeah, 1 more transfer. That's exactly what it is. So anyways, let's go ahead and just do infantry builds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 50. 50 plus 28 is 78. We still have a bit more. I think we have 14 left. So let's go ahead and build infantry, armored, whatever. Build up this cavalry unit. So that's 14. Now down to 8. And other infantry that I can build up. Build up the SS Panzer Corps. That should be a given. Western Front production, let's see. It's still pretty high. It's at 46 right now. Very high. Building up HQs. Building up infantry. So that's 24. 30. I have 16 left. Well, let's see if we gain some reinforcements. Oh, we gained some even back in April. Put it in Milan. Maybe another one in Belgrade. Put a militia unit there as well. We just need more militia. We need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe about 5 more infantry in Yugoslavia. I have 4. 1, 2, yeah. So I'm actually doing a pretty good job right now. And then, what else? Another infantry. I think we got to put it somewhere. Yeah, we're putting it in Amsterdam. And we got to fortify Amsterdam. So how much I did? 24. I did 30. I have 16 left. Let's build up this fortress unit. Now we're down to 6. And with that last remaining 6, all I'm trying to do is build up more militia. That's it. Fortunately, on this turn, I don't have that. So let's go ahead and build up this reserve infantry, airborne corps. And presumably, I've already grounded the... presumably, we've already grounded our... actually, I don't think I officially did. But we're gonna officially on this turn. We're gonna ground the whatchamacallit. The paratroopers. We're gonna ground the paratroopers here on this turn. So yeah. What else? That's it for Western Front production. Slowly building up our ground units as best we can. We need to like fortify everything. We need to like just build up more units on the west. That needs to be the name of the game right now. And I'm thinking put maybe another unit in Chantani. Very vulnerable situation right now. In the west, I would say. Doing the best we can though with the resources we have. Oh, you know what? Let's also fortify whatchamacallit? Sardinia to the best of our ability. All right, and then we'll do the Western Front production, and I think this video can be rounded out. Western Front production is very straightforward. I think it's 63 right now. And build up HQ, build up infantry, that's 14. This was a Bliss HQ, so it should be a level 0. 24, 28, 38, 44, 54. I have 9 left. Not enough to do a transfer to the Western Front, which is a bummer. We can build this up from 54 down to 59, and then we got 4 more left. And yeah, unfortunately, I think those 4 are going to be lost to supplies. Or maybe I'll cancel this build here and place it on this unit. Oh no, I think I already did. Oh no, I didn't. This unit was at level 3. Now it can be at level 4. Boom. So we've only lost 2 production on this production turn. Which is 80,000 or 800, something like that. It's 80,000 tons of supplies. Yeah, 2 sets of 4. So yeah, 8 ships were sunk by the U-boats. And I think that's it. Thank you for tuning in, but gradual transition into 1943. And basically the main takeaway here is that 1943 is much more of the Totaler-Krieg. We're seeing total war manifesting more in this game. It's less about maneuvers, and it's more about production and momentum and strategic initiative. Different than what we saw with Barbarossa, although similar in a sense, but different in that the Red Army is different than what it was. They learned a lot of their mistakes the hard way. And the British and the Americans are launching amphibious invasions in the West, while the Axis are trying to counterattack in their traditional successful formula, but even trying to build up the manpower for that is challenging. So I'm also thinking, I grounded the paratroopers for the Axis, right? I think that was the best move, actually. So we're going to end the file. I'm going to save it. Now we're in May 43, still spring, depending on the mud season. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm going to end the file here. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely like, subscribe, comments and questions down below. I do appreciate hearing from you guys as far as your opinions on World War II, modern European, like military, the nature of warfare, and a lot of this was born in World War II, and it shows with the armored formations, as well as like naval operations and even air power. All of this the game captures in a sense. So yeah, let me know, or at the very least like the video if you're enjoying this content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Do take care, and peace and love.